Good evening. This is the ShallowCross Sports Network with the Double A, bringing you another show. This is a recap of the games that went on over the weekend, and I'm going to try to get that done. But with that said, let's get right on into it. Yeah, well, the games, there were some big games over the weekend, and of course, Memphis was one of the teams that won, and of course, Vanderbilt won their ball game, and of course, I think Austin Peay lost, Tennessee State lost, as well as Middle Tennessee. But anyway, let's get right in there. The first one we're going to talk about is the Memphis Tigers, and we're going to look at their stats. Brandon Lewis, he's 18-22, 225 yards, 10.2 average, 2 TDs, and then he also had a good day running the ball. Also, 12 carries, 87 yards, and 7.2 average. He didn't score any TDs, touchdowns, running. Of course, Memphis held the ball for 27 minutes and 38 seconds. Rice had the ball for 32 minutes, 22 seconds. I think the score was 38-14. And of course, Graham, the big receiver for Memphis, he had 3 receptions for 66 yards and a TD. And of course, Memphis had 355 total offensive yards, 130 rushing yards, and 225 passing yards. So it was a big night for Memphis, and they were able to win that game. Had 19 first downs to Rice's 13. Only had no turnovers, and Rice had 2 turnovers. That was really what done the game in. Let's see, Memphis had 5 penalties for 36 yards, and then of course Rice had 7 penalties for 74 yards. So Memphis is right now, I believe they're 8-1. They rank number 22 in the country right now, and so they're trying to make it to the playoffs. They have some tough games coming up, and that's with Tulane. They have Tulane, still got to play Tulane, and they have to play Navy. And of course, Navy lost this past weekend, but like I say, if Memphis can win out, they have a chance to be picking up that 12th spot in the playoff. Anyway, the next team we're going to talk about is Middle Tennessee State. And Middle Tennessee State, they play in a lot of Wednesday games, and I know the reason why, because when you play those Wednesday games, you can get the full effect of the actual players being there when you have a game, so you have more people in the stands. Even with that said, they still only had 10,000 or so people at that game. But anyway, Middle lost another close game, and that was to Jacksonville State, and we'll look at the stats on that game. And just look at what Vediato, he 23 at 45 for 235 yards, 2 TDs, 1 interception. Middlebrooks had a good game running, but he didn't gain very many yards, 10 carries for 20 yards. And that don't seem right. He gained more yards than that. But anyway, let's see, I'm looking at rushing yards, 84 yards possibly. But anyway, they didn't run the ball very well. And then, of course, Middle Tennessee had the ball for 33 minutes. And Jacksonville State had the ball for 27 minutes. The Jay Middlebrook, the receiver, he had a big game receiving 6 receptions for 87 yards, 14.5 average, 1 TD. And of course, the total rushing yards for Middle Tennessee was 84. Total passing yards was 235. And of course, Middle Tennessee had 319 total yards overall. So they had 2 turnovers to Jacksonville State's 2 turnovers, had 18 first downs to 17 first downs for Jacksonville State. But they lost that game. I think the score was, it was like 24 to 21, somewhere around there. So Middle, I think their next game is against Florida International. I think they play Florida International. I don't know if it's a Wednesday night game or a Friday or Saturday night game. I have to check that and look and see for sure what they're going to be doing. But that's the story on Middle. They still have a couple of games left to play, maybe 3 games left before the season's over with, but they've only won 1 game. I think just looking at the schedule, they have maybe 1 game that they have a possibility of being able to win down the road. But anyway, that's the story on Middle Tennessee State. And then the next team we're going to look at is Vanderbilt. And of course, Vanderbilt had a real good game. They was down by 21 points. They were down 21 to 3 at one time to Texas. And of course, Vanderbilt fought back and they lost 34 to 31. Had a chance at the end to recover an onside kick, and it went out of bounds. And they came real close to getting that ball back. And I think Vanderbilt could have got that ball back, could at least kick the field goal and tied it. But Peay had a pretty good game, 27-38 for 365 yards, 3 TDs, and he ran the ball very well. He had 14 carries for 43 yards. His longest was 25 yards. And of course, Manning had a pretty good game also. He was 25-33 for 328 yards. And so both quarterbacks played fairly well. Vanderbilt got down and they had to fight their way back. Eli Stiles, he had a real good game, 7 receptions for 146 yards. And then, of course, Wingo had 2 big receptions for 89 yards. One of them was a touchdown to get Texas into scoring position. Vandy put up 423 total yards to Texas's 428. Total rushing yards, 136 rushing yards for Vanderbilt. Total passing yards, 139. Total rushing yards for Texas was 170. Total passing yards was 206. Vandy had 8 penalties for 70 yards, and Texas had 9 penalties for 70 yards. Vandy had 1 turnover to Texas 0. Vandy had 25 first downs to Texas 23. So, time possession, Vandy led that way too with 30 minutes and 59 seconds of holding the ball. 29 minutes and 1 second for Texas. So, Vanderbilt's a good team. Texas is a good team too. Vanderbilt got down to, they got too far down to have to fight their way back, especially with that triple option offense that they have. It takes a little bit for you to get back in a game once you've been down, get that far down. But they fought back and was able to be down by 1 score at the end of the game. That was a very good game. Played very well. Just looking at it, and. Vandy, I think Vandy plays Auburn this weekend coming up. So we'll have a preview of that game later on. Next team I'm going to look at to recap is going to look at probably the Tennessee State Tigers. And they lost again too. They lost to thinking it was Lindenwood. They lost to Lindenwood, and I think it was 34-17 or something like that, or 35-17. They having a hard time winning games this year, and so Coach Barlow's gonna have to regroup and come up with some better players and do some things, and make some changes to try to get TSU in the winning column to where they can at least compete with the other teams in the Big South OVC. So McNair, he was 11 of 20, 132 yards. Simmons Brown, he was 13 of 53. Had 13 carries for 53 yards. And TSU's time possession was 27 minutes and 1 second. Lindenwood had the ball 32 minutes and 59 seconds. Slaughter had 2 receptions for 76 yards. And Jay Smith for Lindenwood had 3 receptions for 66 yards. TSU had total yards was 168 yards on offense. Rushing yards 36, total passing yards 132. Total rushing yards for Lindenwood was 222, total passing yards 149. So they couldn't stop the run. Tennessee State couldn't. Turnovers, TSU had 1, Lindenwood had 1. First downs, TSU only had 10 first downs, and Lindenwood had 22. So just looking at it, the turnovers wasn't a big problem. What it was, that Tennessee State couldn't stop the run, and they couldn't run the ball. That was the big difference in the game. If you can't run and you can't stop the run, then you will lose a ball game. You know, you gotta play defense, run the ball, play defense. That's the keys. And hopefully Tennessee State can. I think they play Martin this weekend coming up, so we'll see what they do in this Martin game. But I think they have maybe 3 ball games left, and that'll be the end of their season. But hopefully the Barlow can surprise us and win a game, at least one of those games before the season's over with. But anyway, that's it on TSU. So we're gonna go to the next team, and we're gonna look at Austin Peay. Austin Peay, they lost this game to Southern Utah, and they were really favored to win that game against Southern Utah. Parsons had, he's 15-27, 178 yards, and he also led Austin Peay in rushing, 17 carries for 66 yards, and Austin Peay's time possession was 25 minutes and 14 seconds. Southern Utah's time possession was 34 minutes 46, so they retained the ball and they were able to control the ball game. Jay Robinson for Austin Peay had 6 receptions for 57 yards, and S. Carr for Southern Utah had 4 receptions for 77 yards. And Austin Peay's total yardage was 312 to Southern Utah's total yardage of 371, so which is relatively similar, for both teams. Total rushing yards 134 for Austin Peay. Total passing yards 178 yards for Austin Peay. Total rushing yards 187 for Southern Utah. And total passing yards was 184 for Southern Utah. So turnovers, Austin Peay had 2 turnovers. That may have been the difference in the ball game, really. First downs, Austin Peay had 19. Southern Utah had 25. Depending on where they where they either have an interception or whatever. Looks like it had to be fumbles, I guess, that Austin Peay gave the ball up to Southern Utah. But anyway, Southern Utah won that ball game. I don't know what the score was. I have to look at it on my ticker, but I'm pretty sure Austin Peay wasn't expecting to lose that ball game. They had a better ball team than Southern Utah. At least their record was better than Southern Utah, but they lost that ball game. And so the other thing too is the they picked the 12 the playoff poll came out, and I want to see if I can get that over there to where we talk about it. The playoff poll came out, and I don't know if I've got it, but it looks like leading the way is Ohio State. They're the number one team, and see if I can find it over here. Yeah, I think here. Actually, I got it right here. I'm gonna pop it over there to you. Uh, but looks like Ohio State was picked number one, and so they be the number one seed. It looks like Indiana would be a number two seed right now, based on the way things are. And of course, Texas A&M would be a 3 seed, and Alabama would be a 4 seed. They'll be the ones receiving a bye, and so they won't have to play anybody right away. And then if they work it like they did last year, Georgia would be number 5, Ole Miss number 6, BYU number 7, Texas Tech number 8, Oregon 9, Notre Dame 10, Texas 11, and Oklahoma 12. So that's what it's looking like right now if they play the playoff games right now. And so it looks like that bottom 12 is going to play, that they're going to play the other bowl games. Some of the bigger bowl games, the New Year's Day bowl games, are going to be played by Utah from 13 down to number 25, Tennessee. Tennessee fell all the way down to 25 in the playoff rankings. They dropped them all the way down from 14 down. So they don't have a chance of even thinking about getting into the playoffs. But if they can win out, they can get a good bowl game, because you still got Vanderbilt. They got to play Vanderbilt. That's the only other team this Saturday that they can play that could help them get up into the top level of the latter part of the top 25. But that's what they came up with as far as the playoff picture. But anyway, this is week 10. We're getting ready to start week 11. And week 10 is going to be upon us real quick. And they still haven't hired any of the new coaching jobs that came open over the week. So there's still some jobs open out there that they're waiting to see what these teams are going to do as far as playoffs concerned. And they would probably start hiring some of these new coaches as the time permits. Now, a team that's going to the playoffs, it may be very difficult for some of those coaches to make decisions about joining a new team. You know, there's a lot of jobs open. You know, there's some jobs I don't even have on my ticker that's open right now. I think East Carolina fired their coach, and I think it was in a couple of other schools over there fired their. Stanford University fired their coach. So that's 2 additions that's not on my ticker coming across down there. But the coaching carousel is really really changing the way football is in the NCAA as well as the lay of the land. So it's a lot of jobs open, a lot of money floating around, and we just have to wait and see what happens. If you are a upper echelon team and you're not in that top 12, then athletic directors and administrators are going to look at you as a coach as not doing your job. And then the other thing I want to touch on too, I know I had a Tennessee show, but talk a little bit about Josh Heupel. Josh Heupel is an excellent coach. He does not need to be replaced. Josh Heupel has done magnificent things for Tennessee. He's won over 10 games 3 times in a row. The first year he was 7-6 and at least took him to a bowl, the Music City Bowl. If you remember how it was when Dooley and Bush Jones and Pruitt was there, they couldn't win anything. So he took Tennessee out of the dumps and made it to where they're winning ball games now. You're going to stumble every once in a while like you did at Oklahoma. That was a bad game. But as you get better and get the players in here that he really wants in here, and once he gets up at to where he's recruiting with Alabama and Georgia, then you're going to see Tennessee win some of those games that they should win. Tennessee lost in the trenches against Alabama, and they lost in the trenches, I think, against Oklahoma too. But against Georgia, they was toe-to-toe with Georgia all the way through to the end of the game, and they should have won that game. But they can still finish 9-3 and then go on to a bowl and finish and win 10 ball games if they can. But anyway, with that said, that's going to end this show, and we'll see you on the next show. This is the ShallowCross Sports Network. God bless you, and we see you on the next show.